Doctor Who, Robot, the first story of the Fourth Doctor, is written by Terrance Dicks and starring Tom Baker, Elizabeth Sladen, Ian Marter, Nicholas Courtney and John Levine. So Barry Letts and Terrance Dicks stayed for the first season 12 story, Robot, but then taken over by Robert Holmes as a script editor and Philip Hinchcliffe as the producer for second story. So John Pertwee left, and in terms of finding the cast to play the Fourth Doctor, the script was written for older Doctor, similar age to William Hartnell, and there's few actors that considered for the role, but it's either that they're unsuitable or unavailable or didn't want to, which are Graham Croden, Michael Bentine, Bernard Cribbins, Jim Dale, and Fulton Mackay. Richard Hearn was considered for the role as the Fourth Doctor, but because he was too known as the Mr. Pastry, he wasn't suitable, so eventually the role went for Tom Baker, who was in big films like Nicholas and Alexandra and The Vault of Horror. Barry Letts saw Tom Baker in The Golden Voyage of Sinbad, and well, Tom got the role.
You will die if you go on this way.
To summon the demons of darkness, there is a price.
He's wanting to do something amazing and heroic for his life. Sadly, his teacher and priest said that he's nothing, and look at him now. Tom said there was no acting involved, he was just being himself, and it's like Jeff Goldblum in Thor Ragnarok, because he was being Jeff Goldblum, and they did an amazing job. I heard about his scarf being knitted long by accident, but they kept it in, and definitely makes his costume look so iconic. I mean, if you see anyone like that, we'd know who it is. So Terrance Dicks took the inspiration from the King Kong for this story.
Truly, the thrill of thrills. Don't miss it this time.
Creates the elements similar to Spearhead from Space, where after the Doctor regenerates, he goes to hospital room and escapes in his pyjamas, then changes his clothes, looking at the mirror with Unit investigating something, which I do think it's a great Doctor opener. The story is to be the only season 12 to have set in Earth, with Unit taking the inspiration from the Quatermass Experiment.
Manner or shape of thing do we look for now?
You'll know it when you see it.
Robot is the first Doctor Who story to have its location material shot entirely on videotape using outside broadcasting facilities. This was due to the large number of video effects involving the eponymous robots required in exterior scenes, shot at the then BBC Engineering Training Department at Woods Norton, Worcestershire, which easier and more convincing to marry videotape than to film. The team had learned the lesson during the previous season's Invasion of the Dinosaur. The Woods Norton facility was chosen for location shooting because it had an underground bunker, which Christopher Barry, the director, felt would be suitable for the entrance to the underground complex in the story. However, they were refused permission to shoot in that area. So after the events of Planet of the Spiders, Third Doctor turning into Fourth Doctor, his first word is typical Sontaran attitude. He goes on the events where him and Sarah Jane first met and the invasion of dinosaurs. So Brigadier summoned Harry Sullivan to take the Doctor to sickbay. Meanwhile, a mysterious robot taking guards and a dog out breaking into Weapon Research Center to build a disintegrator gun. The way they edit it is well done. It makes it scary. While Brigadier tells Sarah Jane about the missing part of disintegrator gun, the Doctor in his pyjamas goes in the lab, took the TARDIS key out of his shoe, and about to go inside, but Harry came in. And this is an amusing scene and very iconic where they say who's a Doctor and who's the Doctor.
You may be a Doctor, but I'm the Doctor. The definite article, you might say.
It's pretty badass when the Doctor smashed the bricks with his hands. Funny with the skipping rope scene. So after that, the Brigadier and Sarah Jane find Harry in the cupboard and stop the Doctor from going away. I love the bit where he's changing his clothes, it's so funny. First he came out as a Viking, then a king, then Piero, and then his iconic outfit with his long scarf, like I'm wearing right now.
Well, how about this?
Much better, Doctor. Now, if you've quite finished with your wardrobe...
I'll try again if you like.
No, let's settle with that, please.
Fantastic outfits. Another funny bit is where the Doctor found a flattened dandelion and blew the dust of it on Brigadier's face. So while the Doctor, Brigadier and Harry are investigating, Sarah Jane pays a visit to Think Tank to see Miss Winters, Angelico. So after looking around, Sarah Jane sneaks back in, and we get an intense cliffhanger where the K1 robot was coming towards her.
Who are you? Why are you here?
So Miss Winters revealed it was a joke and decided to demonstrate it by attempted murder, getting K1 robot to kill her, but it hesitated. So Sarah Jane left to tell the Brigadier, so while Miss Winters and Jellicoe fixing the robot and telling it to kill Joseph Chambers, the unit team went to see Professor Kettlewell to find out more about the robots that he created. The K1 robot kills Joseph, and the Doctor and Brigadier questions Miss Winters for a bit. After they return to HQ, the Doctor speaks to Kettlewell on the phone, asking him to go and see him, just before Miss Winters and Jellicoe captured him. So the Doctor left a note, so Sarah Jane and Sergeant Benton went to find him, while the Doctor is about to get killed by K1 in Kettlewell's house. I think Tom Baker as the 4th Doctor is amazing. Fantastic performance, style and everything. What can I say that hasn't been said already? I can see why a lot of people choose him as their favourite. And this is actually the first time I saw Tom Baker. I haven't really watched the classic era at the time. So I was like, that is the Doctor? And I didn't like him at first because I thought he was too silly and too childish. And I'm like, nah, that is not the Doctor. But now learning more about the Doctor Who and also the classic era and all the previous incarnations, I do love Tom Baker as the Doctor. I think, like I said, he's amazing. I do love Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane Smith. She's independent, likeable and kicks ass. Ian Marter as Harry Sullivan is canny. I like the additional companion. And yes, I think Ian would make a great James Bond, as Sarah Jane called him that. I do love Nicholas Courtney and John Levine as Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart and Sergeant Benton. Well, RSM Benton. They're likeable and entertaining. Patricia Maynard played Hilda Winters, who's the leader of the Scientific Reform Society, who plans to blackmail the world's government using K1 to create disintegrator gun and codes for the nuclear missiles. What a great villain. Alec Lindstedt played Arnold Jellicoe, Miss Winters' assistant. Edward Burnham played Professor Jeremiah P. Kettlewell, a scientist who created K1 robot, who also played Professor Watkins in The Invasion. The casts did an excellent job. I understand they did their best with the effects and I appreciate it. And the music by Dudley Simpson again is fantastic. I do love the design of K1 robots. I thought it looked really cool. Michael Girgariff did a great job as well. So Sarah Jane came in just in time to stop the robot. Benton was shooting at it. We get an epic scene where the unit soldiers are shooting at the robot. So Catwell was found in the cupboard, so he got taken to HQ. As Sarah Jane and Professor Catwell plans to go to the meeting, I like how she's been rebel to Benton. Obviously Brigadier and the Doctor is furious, so they went after them. During the meeting, Miss Winters shows the K1 robot, which shocked the audience. And I do love the Doctor's scene on the stage where he's amusing the audience.
Little dance, perhaps? Not just a little dance? Anyone for cards?
Don't just stand there, you idiots! Get him!
Oh, it's so funny. So after the Doctor gets restrained, Unit breaks in. Sarah Jane and Professor Ketwell gets taken away with K1 by Miss Winters. As Harry phoned Brigadier while undercover, he gets caught and gets tied up with Sarah Jane. So eventually, as the Doctor and Unit arrived outside the bunker, Miss Winters and Brigadier orders each other to surrender. So Unit uses grenades and the Doctor using his sonic screwdriver to blow up the traps. After trying to get the door open, K1 came out with a disintegrator gun. It disintegrated a soldier, an army tank, so it ordered them to leave or destroy them all.
Go! Go now! Or I will destroy you all!
This is like a hard level of a video game, if you ask me. While Professor Catwell is changing his mind about the countdown, Sarah Jane and Harry got themselves free. While K1 is distracted, the Doctor managed to finish the locks. So Sarah Jane, Harry and Catwell came out. Sarah Jane tried to stop it. Professor Catwell got himself disintegrated by K1 and it passed out because it killed its creator. So after Miss Winters and everyone working there survived or arrested, K1 is gone along with Sarah Jane and they're inside the bunker. So Sarah Jane tells the Doctor what he knows about the metal of a robot, which gave the Doctor an idea to stop the robot. So him and Harry went down to Catwell's lab. Meanwhile, we have a great King Kong inspiration after when Brigadier accidentally grew K1 bigger with a disintegrator gun. Thought they don't need the Doctor for a change, but obviously he's wrong. It picked Sarah Jane up and put her on the roof. We get an epic shooting scene again. The bit where K1's standing on a soldier, it looks pretty lethal as hell. Imagine what his corpse would look like if it was a higher rating. Ugh. So the Doctor and Harry came back with a can of virus and splattered at K1, and it shrank to death and dissolved away. So in the end, the unit team are invited to Buckingham Palace. The Doctor invites Sarah Jane and Harry into the TARDIS with a couple of famous lines like, "No point being a grown-up if you can't be childish sometimes."
There's no point in being grown up if you can't be childish sometimes.
That's very true. And, would you like a jelly baby? Lime's my favourite.
Would you like a jelly baby?
Little trip. What, in that old police box?
So after going inside the TARDIS and disappeared away, and Brigadier's like, I'll have to tell him that the Doctor will be a little late. So yeah, that's Robot. Great start for the 4th Doctor. I do like the King Kong inspiration. What did you guys think of this serial? Let me know in the comments down below. Doctor Who: The Ark in Space. The second story of the 4th Doctor is written by Robert Holmes and John Le Carrati and starring Tom Baker, Elizabeth Sladen and Ian Marter. So Robert Holmes rewrote the script because he thought the other one was unusable. Barry Letts did plan the story, naming the title Space Station, and also planned to produce the 4-part story and the 2-part Sontaran Experiment story before Philip Hinchcliffe took over, which makes it his first story to produce it. Philip decided to go for the dark and horror style for Tom Baker's era. The story was recorded in studio in October and November 1974 and reused in Revenge of the Cybermen, set on Space Station Nerva Beacon. So put on your long scarf, grab yourselves a jelly babies, and let's dive into the story and what I love about this story. The title sequence for part 1 was tinted green as an experiment, but didn't get repeated for subsequent episodes. The title sequence would stay the same for the next 5 seasons. So we get a great opening. The TARDIS team arrived in the space station, Nerva Beacon. The room is barely breathable. Sarah Jane wandered in the room and gets locked in and suffocating. So the Doctor and Harry got the door opening, so the Doctor finds a way to make the room breathable and puts Sarah Jane on the sickbay. As the Doctor and Harry go back into the room where the TARDIS is, there's like an auto guard. It zaps any organic movement anywhere near it.
I say, what's that?
Get down, Harry.
While Sarah Jane faded away, the Doctor and Harry under the desk moved closer to where the switch is. So they tried scarf, cricket ball, Harry's shoe, but it doesn't work, so Harry uses his shoe again while the Doctor switched it off, and voila, it worked. So they realised Sarah Jane is missing. So they went down the corridor. Harry saw bits of Wirren moving down with green slime on the floor, pretty gross. They find themselves in a chamber. There's many stasis chambers. After Harry found Sarah Jane in one of them, a dead Wirren fell close to him. Great cliffhanger, by the way.
Resuscitation unit looked like?
Very like an oxygen cylinder.
So after reviving Vyra, she asks the TARDIS team who they are and why they're here. So she agreed to revive Sarah Jane, as she does with Noah, and apparently someone called June is missing and there's green blobs at his stasis chamber. After the Doctor sees a Wirren trapped, he goes to controls with Noah coming after him, and after when a green blob touched his hand while Rogan, Libri and Lysit gets revived, Noah gives Vyra orders, and man, what a cliffhanger when he reveals his mutated green hand. Tom Baker as the 4th Doctor, again brilliant.
Homo sapiens. What an inventive, invincible species.
Elizabeth Sladen, Ian Marter as Sarah Jane Smith and Harry Sullivan, brilliant TARDIS team, they're enjoyable, obviously. Wendy Williams played Vyra, suspended animation. Richardson Morgan, John Gregg and Christopher Masters played Rogan, Lysit and Libri, who are also suspended animation on Nerva Beacon. Kenton Moore played Laser, aka Noah, who's a suspended animation that gets infected and turns into a Wirren. The cast did a great job. Wirrens are humanoid insects from the Andromeda galaxy. The story is definitely known for using bubble wrap for aliens, which I do think it works pretty effectively. It makes the aliens look a bit bubbly. If they bring them back in modern series and update them at least, it'll show to those who thinks it's a terrible how great the design can be with bubble wraps. The fact that Noah got his hand infected then himself looked pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie, I did almost throw up first watching it because it seemed gross, which makes it so great for its time and low budget. I do like Wirrens. The sets, the atmosphere and music by Dudley Simpson is incredible. It does actually feel like a real space station. So we get the message from Earth High Minister voiced by Gladys Spencer.
The salvation of the human race has been rewarded with success.
Wirren took Noah over while talking to Vira on the comm. His reaction and slimy blob looked pretty sick and makes me thinking of those green fungus under the fingernails, ew. Which, like I said, they did a great job designing those blobs. So after Doctor and Vira met up with Noah with the infection spreading, the door closed on him after dropping his gun, the bit where the slug-shaped Wirren patrolling the corridor looked terrifying. So while the Doctor wired himself to the machine to go inside the Wirren's mind, a blob went through the shaft and killed Lyset. Harry and Rogan managed to get away from Noah just in time, and I do like the bit where they close the door on the blob while shooting at it. And the sound of it.
Doctor! Doctor!
Hey, Noah!
It's so creepy. I don't know if it's just me or does anyone get the Thing vibes from this. After that, the Doctor managed to recover from going into Wirren's mind, so Rogan and Harry gets teleported in the other room, but the power went down, so the Doctor goes down to the power room and finds Noah completely mutated except a little bit of his face. Pretty terrifying. So Sarah Jane Vira rescued the Doctor and got out of there, so the Wirren asked them to leave or die with suspended animations that are still sleeping. So after they left the power room, the Doctor figured out that the electricity could stop the Wirrens, so Harry, Vira and Rogan climbed inside a rocket. And I love the moment where Sarah Jane got stuck with the cable inside a small triangle tunnel, and the Doctor is just insulting her.
Oh, Doctor, is that all you can say for yourself? Stupid, foolish girl. We should never have relied on you. I knew you'd let us down.
Which made her angry and got her out of there, which is one way of encouraging Sarah Jane to get out of the small tunnel.
You're a brute.
You're a brute. Don't be ungrateful. I was only encouraging you. Come.
So eventually, as everyone got out the rocket, Noah's Wirren, along with the army of Wirrens, got into the rocket. Rogan sacrificed himself by pressing the launch button, standing under the rocket, getting burned to death, and Noah destroyed it with all the Wirrens. So everyone's happy. It's a nice ending when Vira plans a future, the Doctor giving her jelly babies. So the Doctor, Sarah Jane and Harry teleported somewhere else, which is a nice bit of story arc there. I really love this story. Absolute class. It's one of Peter Capaldi's favourite classic story. It's also Russell T Davis's and Stephen Moffat's favourite story. And even Paul Cornell, Martin Day and Keith Topping loved it. What's your thoughts of the arc in space? Drop your thoughts on the comments down below. Doctor Who, The Sontaran Experiment, the third story of the fourth Doctor, is written by Bob Baker and Dave Martin and starring Tom Baker, Elizabeth Sladen and Ian Marter. So the title was going to be The Destructors. Philip Hinchcliffe wanted to split the arc in space to be a 4-part story and The Sontaran Experiment the 2-part story for the story arc and have the same director and the budget, and wanted to bring back Sontarans to save money. So they filmed the story in one location, which is Hound Tor on Dartmoor. However, unlike Spearhead from Space and the location material for other stories, the production was mounted entirely on videotape using early portable video equipment rather than on the usual 16mm film. This use of the location video was remarkable for the time, but technical problems are evident in the final programs. This was also the first Doctor Who story where there were no interior scenes at all. So we get a nice opening where the TARDIS team appeared in the field with silver balls everywhere.
Are you coming or going? Or going or coming?
So while the Doctor is sonicking a silver ball being watched, Sarah Jane and Harry has a look around. Harry fell down the cliff, but he seems alright. So the Doctor heard someone screaming and he thought it was Harry, but it was Zaig. So Arak and Kranz arrived to hold the Doctor hostage because they haven't seen him before, so he could be evil. Luckily, Sarah Jane picked up the Doctor's sonic screwdriver. We get a funny moment the way the Doctor answers the questions. Brilliant.
All right. Now talk.
Certainly. What would you like me to talk about?
So Sarah Jane met up with Roth, who doesn't want to be caught again by an alien, which is obviously a Sontaran. As the Doctor got himself free, he met up with Sarah Jane and Roth, but he fell down the hole and those robot spaceship things captured Sarah Jane and Roth. So Harry went to see what was going on, and there was a Sontaran spaceship with a Sontaran coming out, and Sarah Jane thought it was Commander Lynx. Fantastic cliffhanger. The great thing about those times with no social media, you know, like Facebook, Google, YouTube, Twitter and Instagram, is that you definitely can't see any spoilers, and during the time with a cliffhanger like this, it's so intense. You never know what's going to happen. You might be thinking, oh, I think Sarah Jane's going to die. Oh, she's going to die. Again, Tom Baker is brilliant as the Fourth Doctor. It doesn't matter how he's written, he still pulls it off. I do love Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane Smith, a brilliant companion, and it does seem to focus on her more than others in the story. Ian Marter as Harry Sullivan, I like the character, especially when he was trying to help poor Guy who got chained up and dehydrated.
No. That's all right, old chap. I'm not going to hurt you. Let's have a look.
Ready to take on a Sontaran and cause the spaceship to blow up by sabotaging it. Kevin Lindsay played Field Major Styra, the main villain who experiments on humans, and he also played Marshall, the leader. Kevin did an excellent job. Peter Rutherford played Roth, a group of Galsec colonists who stuck on Earth and escaped from Styra. Donald Douglas, Peter Walsh and Terry Walsh played Viral, Arak and Zaig, who are also members of Galsec colonists stuck on Earth. Glyn Jones, who's written Doctor Who The Space Museum, played Kranz in the story, another Galsec colonist. Brian Ellis played a poor prisoner who's tied up on chains and died of dehydration. The cast did an amazing job. The direction by Rodney Bennett is great, and so is the music by Dudley Simpson, and it's well written. As Roth tries to make an escape, Styra killed him, which shocked Sarah Jane, so meanwhile Harry tried to set the prisoner free, but the chain seems to be too strong. Harry couldn't get to Sarah Jane as she's tied up and surrounded by force field, so the three colonists get taken away by Styra's robot. We get a cool scene where Sarah Jane sees the illusion. As the Doctor used the sonic screwdriver and took the device from her head, she passed out and got angry with Styra, but he gets knocked out on the ground.
Very touching.
You unspeakable abomination!
Apparently, during the filming of that scene, Tom Baker broke his collarbone, which sounded really painful. The crew thought it was very serious, so Tom Baker gets taken to the nearest hospital. Turns out it wasn't as bad as they thought, so during the rest of part 2, you can see the scarf wrapping around Tom's arm, like this, which is clever. I wonder what would have happened if it was worse. And I also wondered how long it took for Tom's collarbone to get fixed. Plus they used Terry Walsh as Tom Baker's stunt double for fight scenes. So after Harry thought the Doctor and Sarah Jane has died, he sees a prisoner died and got really angry, so Styra reported to Marshall. The Doctor came to Harry, so the Doctor fights with Styra, then makes a run for it, but Styra stung him, so eventually the Doctor went to Sontaran Space Pod and he managed to destroy Styra's robot. So after the reunion, the Doctor challenges Styra for a fight. While Harry is sabotaging Sontaran Pod. After the explosion, Styra's face melted, which looked pretty gross. Sontaran Pod is destroyed. The Doctor tells Marshall that he's finished, so the team say goodbye to Arak and Kranz and teleported away. Another great story, loving the story arc. What's your thoughts of this story? Let me know in the comments down below. Doctor Who Genesis of the Daleks, the fourth story of the Fourth Doctor, is written by Terry Nation and starring Tom Baker, Elizabeth Sladen and Ian Marta. While they're planning season 12, Barry Letts, the producer, and Terence Dix, the script editor, felt it would be the time to bring Terry Nation back for another Dalek stories to write. As much as they're impressed with Terry's work, they did say it's too reminiscent of many of his previous Dalek stories. They suggested The Origin of Daleks, which is a great story to explore. The title was going to be Daleks, then Genesis of Terror, but now Genesis of the Daleks. So the script got handed to producer Philip Hinchcliffe and Robert Holmes, the script editor, and Holmes wasn't a fan. However, because it's a Dalek origin story, he decided to allow it. To make it a bit of an adult story is to make it pacey and the Daleks to be more powerful. According to Terence Dix, the story wouldn't have been much different if he and Barry Letts stayed on. Although he would have added some lighter moments to soften the grim tone, David Maloney, the director, said that he had no intention of losing young audience. The fact that the images of war at the beginning of this story were intended to create atmosphere. The story went through a few changes. They would have had opening with Soldier getting shot in slow motion, but they've changed it. And Terry Nation wasn't happy with it being changed. But David Maloney said the violent addition is a bit much. They would have had the Doctor meeting a Time Lord in a lush garden, but David Maloney and Philip Hinchcliffe weren't keen, so they changed the setting of that scene for Skaro, because it works better that way. Thal soldiers would have been 15 or 16-year-old boys, but got changed to adults. In the original script, Sarah Jane would have been ill by radiation in part 3. Benton would have been a man. More action in the Daleks' incubator room and ended part 5 with the Doctor's question of whether he had the right to destroy them. So the story opens with war on Skaro, a bit of World War I and II vibes. After a couple of Thals got shot dead, the Doctor meets a Time Lord to request him to go on a mission on Skaro to stop the Daleks from exterminating all other lives across the universe.
We'd like you to return to Skaro at a point in time before the Daleks evolved.
Do you mean avert their creation?
And gave him the time ring so he can go back to the TARDIS when he's finished. This is kind of like a video game, which I like. Last time the Doctor and his companions were at the TARDIS, it was at the Nerva beacon in the Ark in space. After a Time Lord disappeared, Sarah Jane and Harry arrived, so the trio took cover while there's quite a few explosions. So they had a look at the dead Thal. As they went along, they realised they're in the minefield because they saw a landmine. After they saw a dome, they eventually reached to a trench where the gas exploded. So the Doctor, Sarah Jane and Harry puts their gas mask on and getting attacked by Thals. Luckily Khaled shot the Thals. They took the Doctor and Harry inside and leaving Sarah Jane unconscious. Khaled leader didn't think the Doctor and Harry looks like Thals, so they go on the transporter to General Raven, who kind of reminds me of Luke Skywalker with blonde hair and black uniform. So Raven got the Doctor to empty his pockets, and I thought there's a fantastic performance the way Raven ranted at the Doctor about the plan, and it was pretty amusing when the Doctor insulted him.
And build a peace which will be a monument to their sacrifice. Our battle cry will be total extermination of the Thals!
So he whips the gun off Raven's hand. Harry caught it, so they got General Raven to lead them out. By the time they reached to the lift, Security Commander Nida came, who wanted to see Raven. He lets them get on with it. However, he became suspicious and ordered his men to fire and release General Raven. This is a great running scene in the corridor. It's so intense. So they managed to go out by area lift 7 just in time. So Nida alerted the guards. As the Doctor and Harry ran through the minefields, they almost got exploded by a landmine, so then they got recaptured. Meanwhile, Sarah Jane Smith wakes up and searching for the Doctor and Harry, but couldn't find them. So the Doctor and Harry arrive back in the Raven's office, and it's bizarre to look back as the Doctor doesn't know who Davros is at the time.
Who is this Davros?
Our greatest scientist.
So they get taken to the interrogation room. Sarah Jane walks through and sees Davros and Garman testing Dalek. What an entrance.
Exterminate.
After the test, Davros, Garman and Dalek left. Sarah Jane gets surrounded by Mutos. It crackles me up when the Doctor smiled at Tane, a security, and the Doctor going on about cup of tea while he's been ordered to step into security scan. So eventually they did. Harry is clear. The Doctor has a time ring on his wrist. So then they get taken to Ronson. A Muto sees Sarah Jane as a Norm and tries to kill us. The other Muto, Severin, is stopping him, but then there's a couple of Thals coming. He shot the other Muto for trying to escape and took Sarah Jane and Severin to work. The Doctor and Harry gets questioned by Ronson but gets interrupted as Davros arrives with Garmin and introduced a Mark III travel machine, a Dalek.
A Dalek? What? Dalek. Very primitive, but undeniably a Dalek.
You're mistaken. It's a Mark III travel machine.
Davros uses voice control to control the Dalek, so after Garmin puts a gun inside and the Dalek is on self-control and it was about to exterminate the Doctor because he's an alien, but luckily Ronson had to stop it and Davros ranted at him for it.
An instinct to destroy, and you interceded! You will be punished for this!
But Ronson said they needed for further interrogation, so Davros allows it. Meanwhile, in the Thal Dome, Sarah Jane is there with Severin, Khaled Leader who captured the Doctor and Harry, and a couple of Mutos, and they're there to use a cylinder to power up a rocket, which must be Nakarin. In the cell, Ronson tells the Doctor and Harry about his concerns about the Daleks, and he's aware that they're evil. He shows them that Khaleds would become Dalek mutants.
That is our future.
So he gets the Doctor and Harry into the ventilator shaft in order to find the people to contact. Sarah Jane pretends to pass out to distract a guard, and a Khaled Leader does a great punch on him. As they escape and climbing on the scaffoldings where the rocket is, as the guard sets the alarm, there's a group of Thal troops shooting up. A couple of Mutos and Khaled Leader get shot and fall to their deaths. So Severin tries to help Sarah Jane, but she falls. Blimey, intense cliffhanger. Sarah Jane fell on the railing, so Severin helped her, and by the time they made it to the rocket, they get recaptured by the Thal troops. In the cave we get intense moments where Harry's leg gets stuck in a giant clam, so eventually the Doctor got his leg out of there, and luckily it wasn't broken. After Carvel improves Davros' creation, he's secretly siding with Ronson, letting him know that the Doctor and Harry have contacted the Khaled leaders. The Doctor, Harry, General Raven has a meeting with Council, one of them called Mogren. The Doctor lets them know how bad the Daleks can be. Sadly, the Councils can't agree about stopping the experiments. However, they arrange a tribunal and plan to investigate, and if they know the Doctor is right, their experiments will close down. So he informs Davros about it, but behind his back he plans to go on. So the Doctor and Harry goes to the Thal city to find Sarah Jane, but they discover Davros and Nyder there, as he helps Thals to blow up a Khaled dome to kill the councillors, including Mogren.
By dawn tomorrow, our world could be at peace.
And after that we get a funny moment when the Doctor said to the two guards, "Excuse me, can you help me? I'm a spy," and then knocks them out.
Excuse me. Can you help me? I'm a spy.
Oh, that was pretty funny. So they nixed their suits and put them on, and got Sarah Jane, Severin and the Mutos out of the rocket silo, and tells them to go to the Khaled dome to warn the Khaleds. So everyone but the Doctor left as he's trying to delay the rocket, but a guard woke up and pressed a button. Electricity tightens the Doctor to scaffolding. Tom Baker as the Fourth Doctor is brilliant. Loved his portrayal and moments. He's really funny. Well casting there. Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane Smith, a journalist, absolute independent companion. Absolutely love that character. Ian Marta as Harry Sullivan, who's a medical doctor in Unit. I love this character, he's canny. I love those trio, definitely one of the greatest TARDIS team. Davros in this episode is played by Michael Wisher, the creator of the Daleks and chief scientist. I love Davros, and Michael Wisher did a splendid job as he did with his other roles. The design of Davros was taking inspiration from Mekon, a comic book character, which works really well. Apparently Michael can still eat with the latex mask on. Well designed for a low budget series, I have to say. Peter Miles played Security Commander Nyder, who sides with Davros. Peter Miles did a fantastic job, and he also played Dr. Lawrence in Doctor Who and the Silurians and Professor Whittaker in Invasion of the Dinosaurs, both John Pertwee eras. John Franklin Robbins played a Time Lord who sent the Doctor on a quest and gave him the Time Ring. Great performance. Dennis Chinnery played Garmin, a head of the Khaled military elite scientific corps, and wants the experiment of the Daleks to end, and I really do like that character. Shame they killed him off. Guy Sinner played young General Raven, who reminds me of Luke Skywalker, like I said, because of the hair and the clothing. He did a great job. Richard Reeves is great as Khaled Leader, another character I felt sad to see him getting killed off. James Garbutt played Ronson, a scientist who's siding with the Doctor, another great character that got killed off. Tom Georgeson played Cavill, a Khaled scientist who's also wanted the experiments of the Daleks to end. Ivor Roberts played Mogren, a member of the Council in the Khaled Dome, who supposedly investigates the experiment. He gets killed off with rocket exploding the Khaled Dome. Khaled race are the ancestors of the Dalek race. Stephen Yardley played Severin, a Muto who helps Sarah Jane, and he's likeable. Mutos are mutated Thals and Khaleds that's done by nuclear radiation. And it's horrible that Nyder says that Khaleds need to keep themselves pure. Obviously the Daleks and Khaleds are taking inspiration from the Nazis. Harriet Philippin played Betten, a Thal soldier who organises the crew to build explosives up to seal Davros and the Daleks underground. The whole cast did an amazing job with their roles. The effects is done well for its time and low budget, and I love the Dalek design as well. The music by Dudley Simpson is outstanding. So after the Doctor gets taken to Thal control, he watches rocket launch and destroy the dome, and he thinks that Sarah Jane and Harry are killed because of him. So Davros sends the Daleks in the lab to exterminate Ronson for being a traitor, and accused him to get Thals to explode the Khaled Dome. The first person to be exterminated by the Daleks in Universe. So after the explosion of the Khaled Dome, the Thals celebrates. Betten allows the Doctor to be free. However, the Daleks have killed quite a few Thals. And Betten got away, so her and the Doctor took cover. So they went to the trenches planning to stop the Daleks. The Doctor goes through a cave and he gets attacked by Mutos. But luckily he's saved by Sarah Jane, Harry and Severin. So Severin joins Betten and her group. The Doctor and his companions went down to the shaft while Nyder tricks Garmin and knocks him out. Meanwhile, the Doctor, Sarah Jane and Harry came out the shaft and gets recaptured. So they get strapped on chairs. Sarah Jane and Harry are hooked on the machine to die if the Doctor doesn't tell Davros how did the Daleks lose in future.
You will tell me! You will tell me!
So eventually the Doctor does. After hours later he finished. The Doctor asked Davros if he created a virus that would destroy all other forms of life on contact, would he use it?
If you had created a virus in your laboratory, a virus that would destroy all other forms of life, would you allow its use?
And he's mad enough to say yes. So the Doctor gets Davros to go on Tannoy to tell Khaled to destroy all Dalek creatures, but then gets knocked out by Nyder. Then Davros cancelled the order, so the Doctor gets taken to the cell after Cavill knocked a prison guard out and Harry pretended to be a guard. So Garmin and Cavill prepares to stop the Dalek experiment, so they have a fight with a couple of Khaleds. They grab the guns and threaten Davros if he doesn't stop the experiment he will be under arrest, and the Daleks will be destroyed. So Davros asks Garmin to arrange the meeting, so the Doctor, Harry and Sarah Jane picks up the detonator device for the Dalek incubator room. Sarah Jane gets into the army soldier outfit. The Doctor wired up the detonator device and gets attacked by a couple of Dalek mutants.
Doctor, are you alright?
So Sarah Jane and Harry grabbed them off the Doctor and threw them back in the room. The Doctor hesitated to touch two cables together because of the consequences.
Wipe out a whole intelligent life form. Then I become like them. I'd be no better than the Daleks.
While Betten and the survivor Thal troops set up detonator device on the corridor to blow a roof down, Garmin came and lets the Doctor know about the meeting. So in the meeting, Davros gets some Khaleds to be at his side while most of them are at the other side. So Nyder was about to sneak off, so the Doctor, Sarah Jane and Harry, after got all the belongings back, and followed Nyder down to the corridor and took him hostage to Davros' office to destroy the tape with a Dalek gun. After that's been done, Nyder made an escape and locked the Doctor and his companions in the Davros' office. Sadly, the time ring was dropped during the fight and the sonic screwdriver couldn't open the door, which must be deadlock seal. They saw on the monitor that Davros and Garmin argued, so Davros sends the Daleks in to exterminate all the traitors, including Garmin and Kravos, which is a sad scene. Severin managed to open Davros' office and told them about Betten and her army setting the explosives up. So the Doctor picked up the time ring and everyone got away from the Daleks. So the Doctor went to the incubator room while others are begging Betton to wait a few minutes for the Doctor before blowing the roof down, but she can't do delays. But she does agree a few minutes. Well, for a bit. The Doctor managed to get the Daleks to connect a couple of cables together to explode the incubator room. And the Doctor has made it to the group and they've blown the roof down. Davros noticed automated Dalek production line has been started. He didn't give any order, it was the Daleks. So he asked the Daleks to turn it off, but they refused, so he sends Nyder to do it, but the Daleks exterminated him. The Daleks have betrayed Davros as they have no pity, no emotions except hate.
Exterminate!
So the Daleks exterminated the other Khaled scientist and exterminated Davros. When I first saw that, I was not expecting it because Davros appeared in Stolen Earth and Journey's End, and I didn't think they would kill Davros, which makes me glad that I found out because it gives me hopes to see Davros again. I love the Dalek speech at the end, planning what they're gonna do.
This is only the beginning. We will prepare.
So everyone said goodbye, and the Doctor, Sarah Jane and Harry used the time ring, moving them twisting and turning through space and time. Man, this is a fantastic story. This is the first classic story that I watched properly, I think. It's either that or the Five Doctors. It's definitely the first classic DVD I've collected, as my mum gave it to me when I was about 10, and I love that story. It's definitely a well-known classic story. What's your thoughts of Genesis of the Daleks? Let me know in the comments down below. Doctor Who Revenge of the Cybermen, the fifth story of the fourth Doctor, is written by Jerry Davis and Robert Holmes and starring Tom Baker, Elizabeth Sladen and Ian Marter. So the title was going to be Return of the Cybermen and then Return to Revenge, as Robert Holmes added Vogan story. Because Philip Hinchcliffe was new to the show and Tom Baker was the new Doctor, he wanted to play it safe by adding old monsters like Cybermen and Daleks for the first season. Robert Holmes made the story more emotional than what Jerry Davis wanted, and he wasn't happy with the title Revenge of the Cybermen, which fair enough, so they reused the set from the Ark in Space, Nerva Beacon, because of the budget and blaming it on Curse. They shot a lot of scenes in Wookiee Hull caves. Michael E. Bryant, director of the story, said the spirit of a potholer who had died in the caves 3 years earlier. The assistant floor manager suffered claustrophobia in the scene where Sarah Jane Smith stepped off the boat. If it wasn't for Terry Walsh, Elizabeth Sladen would have drowned, as she wore heavy boots when she got on the water in that scene. The programme's longtime stuntmen both required precautionary vaccinations at a local hospital but didn't get hurt. The boat disappeared and was never seen again. A crew member was ill and an electrician had a broken leg. My God. William Hartnell sadly passed away 4 days after Part 1 came out. As the Cybermen last appeared in the Invasion, they sort of reused that design, but it was in bad condition, so they differentiate it a bit, which included chest panels constructed from the innards of an old television set, and trousers which, for the first time since the moon base, were not tucked into the cyber boots. Michael E. Bryant, the director, opted to put the characters on the Nerva Beacon into contemporary clothing and have them use modern machine guns rather than attempt to depict the future through fashion. So the story begins with the Doctor, Sarah Jane and Harry arrive back at Nerva Beacon with the time ring, which is pretty effective. The time they're in is thousands of years before the Ark in Space. It's funny when the Doctor knew the time ring was going to disappear, even he said to Harry keep it. So the TARDIS team found quite a few corpses in the corridor, pretty unsettling. After Cyberman came into Warner and bit him, which infected him to death, the TARDIS arrived in the room. Commander Stevenson and Lester found them. Kelman claimed to found Warner. Stevenson let the Doctor help Warner, but it was too late as he died. So Kelman records the conversation as they mentioned Voga. The Doctor remembered the Cybermen and suspecting that Kelman is working for them. So as the Doctor goes inside Kelman's bedroom, he hid under the bed, but Kelman knows he's there. so he turns the power on and left, with gas spraying and electric shock on the floor. Pretty cool when the Doctor jumped on the bed. And I loved his line when he said, "I smell a rat." Cybermat jumped on Sarah Jane, which infected her. After the Doctor got out, he came to help Sarah Jane, so he got Harry to take himself with Sarah Jane to Planet Voga, Planet of Gold. Sounds nice. So the Doctor, Stevenson and Lester stopped Kelman. It's nicely done the way Lester jumped on him. It's nicely done when the Doctor managed to scare Kelman by controlling a cybermat by moving it towards him. So after Sarah Jane and Harry gets captured by Vogans, they get questioned by Vorus. Because Vorus doesn't believe them, he gets them tied up, and it looked painful when Sarah Jane and Harry tried to get their foot out the golden chain. As they make a run for it, they get captured again, but rescued by Shepra. The Cybermen ship flew to Nerva Beacon. They stung Stevenson and Lester, then the Doctor. Taking over the beacon.
All resistance overcome. The beacon is ours.
Yeah, just take it. It's rubbish. I'm joking. I don't think it's rubbish. Again, Tom Baker is fantastic as the Fourth Doctor. More than words can say. The script was modified as production developed to incorporate Tom Baker's style, and also had to be rewritten to modify how writer Jerry Davis had envisionated the new Doctor as more timid, reversed figure, much in the manner of Patrick Troughton, which happened to be rather unlike Tom Baker's portrayal. Elizabeth Sladen, Ian Marter, Sarah Jane Smith and Harry Sullivan. Amazing, very likeable companions. I do love those TARDIS team, and I do like the reuse of Cybermen from the Invasion, even though it's a little bit different, but they're pretty menacing. Vogans are the races from Voga, planet made of gold. And there's two different races of Vogan, which is cool. I wonder how they're connected to Gallifrey because of Rastalon logo, and I hope they bring them back. Ronald Lee Hunt played Commander Stevenson, who's in charge of Nerva Beacon. William Marlowe played Bill Lester, a crew member. Alec Wallace played Warner, a technician who's responsible for redirecting Pluto Earth Flight 15 from doing a dropover on the Nerva Beacon. Jeremy Wilkin played Kelman, who's working for the Cybermen. Kevin Stoney played Tyrone, the leader of the Vogans. Michael Wisher, who played Davros in the previous story, played McGrick, a Vogan Guardian. David Collins played Vorus, a Guardian leader. Brian Grelis played Shepra, an officer. The casts did a great job. The set and effects is great. The music by Carrie Blyton and Peter Howell is pretty catchy. The masks for the principal actors playing the Vogans were specially modelled to their faces, but for the non-speaking artists, the BBC had to cut costs. David Collins said on the DVD commentary, who played Vorus, like I said, the masks for the extras were made using a facial mould of Dad's army star Arnold Ridley. The secret radio transmitter disguised as a clothes brush was a prop that was used in Live and Let Die, Roger Moore's first James Bond film. The prop was handed over by a James Bond actor, Roger Moore, when he visited the BBC in 1973. He later told the Radio Times that the prop's master, not recognising Moore, had paid him 2 shillings and 6 pence for the item. He said, and I quote, "I popped into the Beep for a cup of tea and spotted a notice about an upcoming Doctor Who. So I thought the Daleks would be so cash-strapped they need anything they could get their hands on. It wasn't MGM after all. But I didn't expect to walk out with 2 and 6. So while Kelman takes the bag of jelly babies and apple core out of the Doctor's pocket, he teleported to Voga to speak to Vorus, but he gets taken away to warn them on what's happening with the planet. And we get a great line when the Doctor called the Cybermen pathetic bunch of tin soldiers skulking around the galaxy in an ancient spaceship. So the Doctor, Stevenson and Lester get strapped on cyber bombs as they plan to blow up Voga. A couple of Cybermen are brave enough to go down to Voga, the fact that gold is poisonous to them. If they unstrap themselves, it blows them up. After teleport to Voga, we get a great battle scenes. After patrolling through the cave, rocks falling, knocking the Doctor out, Harry was about to undo the strap. And I was like, whoa! But luckily Lester was there to stop him, and it was pretty funny when the Doctor was like, Harry Sullivan is an imbecile, and then passed out.
Harry Sullivan is
Oh, you gotta love Tom Baker. The bit where the Doctor and Harry wrestles on Cybermen is entertaining and nicely done. Because they're too strong to be killed by Gold, Lester jumped in front of them and undid the straps which caused the explosion to kill himself and the Cybermen. So eventually Sarah Jane teleports herself back on Beacon and gets caught by Cybermen. So the Doctor plans to go back to Beacon, which she did after Cybermen left, to watch the explosion in safer distance. The Doctor unties Sarah Jane, and I love the whistling bit. So after he uses the Cybermat against the Cybermen, Beacon is heading straight for Voga, so the Doctor managed to stop Beacon from crashing into Voga. The effects works pretty effectively, and the missile blowing up Cybermen's spaceship. So after Harry came back, the TARDIS appeared, the Doctor got a telegram from the Brigadier that he needed him. So the TARDIS team went in, the TARDIS dematerialised, even though Harry wanted to say goodbye, but they left in a hurry. So, that's Revenge of the Cybermen. It has great ideas and definitely watchable. And the end of season 12, and I think this is the first classic season to be released on those Blu-ray box sets, which is awesome. The idea of getting a classic season box set with remastered effects behind the sofa, behind the scenes, surround sounds, special features, deleted scenes and everything. It's also great that Tom Baker telling us to don't forget to subscribe to the official Doctor Who YouTube channel.
Somebody just passed me this and says, don't forget to subscribe to the official Doctor Who YouTube channel. Well, how could I possibly forget that? For goodness sake. You got the message, haven't you? Don't forget. Doctor Who YouTube channel. Now.
So, what did you guys think of Revenge of the Cybermen and Season 12? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks as always for watching, and see you in the next video.